And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the 2-Point Conversion NFL DFS podcast, your Week 15 DraftKings edition. Entric, and I'm joined by my two buddies as always. We got Bucks. You can find him on Twitter at BPSnow11. Bucks, how we doing?
Doing great, Bubba. Glad to be here.
Danny, and I love the enthusiasm. And James, you can find him on Twitter at paydirt_DFS. What's bugging you tonight, James?
Oh, there's always I am writing a code for my government big boy job, and I messed up somewhere in my 787 lines of code, and I now have to find it. So, it's great. Other than that, I'm good. I had a good week at DFS. So, in NFL, I had a good week. In NBA, I went like 0 for 6 or something. So,
NBA tilts. What?
Closest to the line his bug's on for a round of golf.
How many lines total? You said 786. I'm a degenerate.
It is 623 lines of code.
Give me 484.
484?
Oh. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go 599.
All right. Y'all are both, basically in the ballpark. It can't be anywhere before 390. So, one
Ooh.
You're saying there's a chance.
So love it. One are they? Which one did you guys say? I'm going to write it down.
599.
I said 484.
484 and 589? 599. Okay.
599.
All right. I will probably find it at 2 a.m. and I'll update you guys.
Sweet. I'm going to be
waiting.
Sounds
good. Yeah. Well, we'll be waiting on that. But what we need to talk about before we get into DraftKings is we were just talking about it before this. FanDuel, they always find fun ways to keep their fans involved. Maybe that's why it's called FanDuel. And they came out with the Super Flex format. For those that don't understand what that is, in your flex position now, you can have receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. And from what I remember from my minimal FanDuel experience, they never had a flex position, period. So this is a big change in action for them. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I think it's great. Kudos to them for thinking outside the box and trying new things. I know James mentioned earlier they did some other things with like PGA, and they tried out some new things. So kudos to them. Idea of it. I mean, the theory and the strategy behind it is yet to be seen, but I could definitely see some crazy things going on where cheaper quarterbacks with high upside and having a pretty safe floor but a high ceiling. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go.
What about you, James?
Yeah, I love this. I admittedly don't play on FanDuel much, but I should because, one, my ROI is higher overall in my DFS career on FanDuel, and two, they have these kind of interesting setups. I raved about when they did that PGA top and bottom payout structure. That shit is cool. And this is awesome. This is a really good switch up to the way that we usually do things. It introduces a new strategy, it introduces better edge. I'm going to move all of my exposure over to FanDuel this week, I think. And just try to get, because I think this is awesome. Fill these tournaments. This is a really cool, innovative thing.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I was telling you guys, I started playing in a season long, and it changes the approach. Let's just put it, and it's common sense when you think about it, but you're going to see scores and different ideas come across after the first week of it. It'll be fun. It's a shame it's this late in the year, to tell you the truth, but hopefully it's something they keep in. Maybe they started this late as a trial, and they install it next year, and then DraftKings will steal it, and then they'll say they switched it by 2 little points, and it's different. But that's what'll happen. It'll be fun. But let's get into the DraftKings schedule. We have Week 15, 16 games, and it is a goofy schedule. You have your normal Thursday through Monday. That's the same. We have 2 games on Saturday. You only have an 11-game main slate now on Sunday. Then you have the prime time Sunday night, Monday. So basically 5 games aren't on the main slate. So good times. Picking your battles here. Let's kick it off on Thursday Night Football. Denver at Indianapolis, a barn burner of a Thursday night game. Indy's a 2.5-point home dog. Totals 40.5. Bucks kick us off in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I spent exactly against analyzing this game and realized I don't want somewhere. I think at $5,600, Demaryius Thomas value, but Brissett sucks, Simeon sucks, T.Y. Hilton sucks, Denver's D potentially there, but they've sucked. So D Thomas is the only way I'd play this game. But my strategy this week is going to play full slate and completely ignore this game and hope people just dive into it just to dive into it.
Yeah,
it's probably a pretty safe bet. What are you looking at, James?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to really attack this game. Denver, for as bad as a defense as they have looked like, they've allowed the most touchdowns to wide receivers on the year, but the least yardage to wide receivers. So when we consider somebody, I mean, that's just regression to the mean, punching them directly in the face 1,000 times. When we think about what the Colts can do, like T.Y. Hilton, he either has 180 yards and 2 touchdowns, or he has 40 yards and 0 touchdowns. So I'm going to take the latter in this game and assume that it's not T.Y. Hilton game, even though the Broncos have been quote-unquote bad. Demaryius Thomas is the best play in this game. It's really not close. I do think that Simeon at 5,100 is interesting if you want to go for a cheap QB. Indianapolis Colts suck on defense. But Demaryius Thomas 5,600. If you wanted to go Simeon DT and have a cheap stack here, like I like that, especially on DraftKings where they're both cheap. I think that's the only way that you can tack this game. You can't take either defense. I'm not paying $3,700 for the Broncos, even against Brissett. So it's really just Simeon DT for me.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. It's DT for me. That's it. Targets have been there for 4 or 5 straight weeks. He finally got the workload last week, got in reception-wise and found the end zone. I think he's in play, and that's about it. Let's move on to the first of 2 Saturday games. You have the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. Detroit is a -6-point home favorite. Totals 44. James, kick us off in Detroit.
This game's kind of interesting. I mean, Trubisky has been doing much better towards the end of the season. They've kind of unleashed him a little bit and let him do a little bit more with this offense. At 4,600 in his last game, he had 32 attempts, and he also had 2 rushing attempts and 1 for a touchdown. I mean, letting him kind of use his feet a little bit more is going to raise his ceiling. So now we have a 21-point game under his belt. That's his new season high. The Detroit defense sucks. I don't think that Trubisky is the worst play in the world. I don't think he's a top play, but they've been utilizing him a little bit more. Matt Stafford on the other side at 6,400, playing at home is always a good option. It's just who you pair him with. I still think that all of his wide receivers are appropriately priced. Golden Tate, 65, Marvin Jones, 62. Kenny Galladay at 3,400 if that's your GPP play. I don't hate any of those options. I think you can stack wherever you want in this game. Jordan Howard at 6,900. They finally raised his price after nobody had him, which doesn't make any sense according to their algorithm. And Theo Riddick crushed last week with no Amir Abdullah, but I think that Amir Abdullah will be back this week. So it's kind of hard. Like, this game has some fantasy goodness, but it's like, do I really want to take the shots on it when there are much better spots on the slate? I personally am going to pass. I just don't think that there's enough fantasy goodness to go around in this game at all.
Yeah, I'm with you here. It has a lot of appeal, but I'm doing my best this week to be extra picky and limit things. But if you do want action in this game, Detroit does have a 25-point team total at the moment. So 6,400. You can look at Trubisky if you want. He had 15.5 points against Detroit in Detroit at home his last time out against Detroit. And he is playing a lot better, as you stated. Stafford had almost 20 points at Chicago in that nasty game. But I go Stafford and Jones. That's my 1-2 punch, but Tate is coming off a pretty big week. James, do you still have Jones as their wide receiver 1?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because they are 22nd in the league against wide receiver 1s. They actually do decent against the wide receiver 2. So that makes me like Jones more than Tate a little more now at 6,200. Other than that, I don't want to pay that price for Riddick if Abdullah comes back. Howard, how the hell did that happen? They finally give him a workload. I'd imagine they'd want to do it again, but there's other running backs in that price range or more expensive that I'll go to. So that's where I'm looking. You have cheap tight end and Shaheen 7, who got a lot of work last week, but that's a GPP only. And Dontrell Inman had 0 targets last week after being a just monster for 3 or 4 weeks for us. So he's at 3,100. Had an okay game against Detroit earlier, so he could be a punt receiver if you need one. What are you looking at, Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned Inman because that's the first comment I wanted to make is Trubisky threw it 32 times last week, and Inman got 0 targets.
Mm-hmm.
Receiver that got more than 4 targets was Kendall Wright?
Mm-hmm.
And he had 11. I mean, I don't know where Trubisky's throwing it, but the nice thing is, the good news is that Trubisky, his last 2 games, is completing 80% of his passes. I know that against San Francisco, he only threw it, which in itself is absurd, but over his last 4 games, he's thrown it 30-plus times. He's completing a bunch of passes. He's starting to turn it around, and I think Detroit's beatable. That being said, who do you trust to catch the ball? He knows he's spreading it around, and so for me, $4,600, I think he has 4x upside at that price at least. So I like him $4,600. I'm going to play him naked, just because. But I do like Inman at $3,100. It's just, how can you trust a guy that's been getting suddenly gets 0? It seems to be to their coaching, but Trubisky. I'm not a huge Stafford fan this week. Looking at the running backs, I typically like Theo Riddick. I do like him this week. But I think there's better options on the board. I do think that he is going to get points, which is great, $5,200. Ford is another guy that I'm definitely going to look at. I mean, it's tough because, like James mentioned, his price has been much lower. Then all of a sudden it's $6,900. He had 1 good game. He is in a good spot here, so I'm definitely going to keep him on my checklist if something falls within that range. Adam, but to be honest with you, there's quite a few plays at 6,900 to 7,200 that I like this week. So it's going to be tough just determining with. So besides that, I mean, you look at Golden Tate and Marvin Jones. Both are serviceable. I do think Tate has had the better matchup the last few weeks, which is why he's come through. I mentioned the wide receiver 1 having a pretty good spot this week. So I do like Jones. This is a tougher matchup for Stafford. So I like Jones' big playability. He makes things happen. So that I would be targeting. Outside of that, nobody else.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game. I like that Trubisky call, running him out there naked. He's like the Kaisers and some of these other guys we talked about in the cheap range that tons of upside, but the team's so bad. That's why he's priced so cheap for the most part, because you don't know what's going to happen, where it's going. But the upside's there, so I do like that idea of running him out there naked in a GPP. Let's go to the other Saturday night game. This one could be a lot of fun. Chargers at the Chiefs. Chiefs are 1.5-point home dogs. Totals 46.5. A couple takes on this one on the Kansas City side of things. Kareem Hunt finally had a week again. Price tags all the way back up to $7,100. Only $600 higher than last week, but he's at 25 carries, 3 targets. They actually cared about giving him the darn football. Now, if you trust Andy Reid, it's a good play at $7,100 against the Chargers, no doubt about that. If not, there are other running backs. Kelsey at $7K, he's always worth a look. I doubt I'll be going there, but again, he's not on the main slate, so it could make it interesting in that appeal. What I love is the Chargers side of things, and it could be very, very chalky, but it's a full slate if you play them. Rivers at 72, Keenan Allen at 84, and Henry at 48. I stacked them last week. I've been stacking them a lot lately, and they are straight money. And the Kansas City defense is straight garbage, especially against the pass and especially against the wide receiver one. So give me all the love. Even though I know Allen goes to the slot once in a while, he's still going to feast on anybody he sees. So give me the Rivers, Allen, Henry stack. Hunt and Kelsey are viable, but I want that Chargers side of things. Bucks, what do you like here?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it, man. I mean, if I had to stack it, I'd go Rivers, Allen, and Williams because I do think they'll have Allen in the slot, and Williams I see having a chance to dominate. I do a Hunter Henry here as well. So, I mean, it's tough to say that you're going to stack Rivers with 3 receiving options when you have Melvin Gordon. But yeah, I mean, it sets up really well for that play. This is another game that potentially just go with Rivers and Keenan Allen because Keenan Allen's a freaking monster, man. And then I'm glad you mentioned Kareem Hunt. Last week was one of those weeks where you guys know out of anybody that I hate the Chiefs. I hate Kareem Hunt. I think he's overrated. Last week was one of those weeks where it was like the price was so cheap, he was going to do something. And so I had to play him, and of course he went off, which was nice. But I just don't know if Andy Reid will sustain that usage. I mean, he used him last week like you would expect him to use a decent running back. He gave him 25 carries, gave him targets, gave him goal line work. I mean, Kareem Hunt hasn't seen a carry inside the 5 in weeks. So it was cool to see that. I think at 7,100 that play, and that's what I mentioned during the last game with Jordan Howard being 6,900. There's a lot of options right here at the $7,100 range that you have to think about what's the upside. And Kareem Hunt obviously has big playability. I think that the Chargers are going to put up a ton of points on him, and so on Hunt and dumping it off to him, letting him catch 4, 5, 6 balls just to keep him play. So Rivers, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry this week, and then I'm not going to touch either of these defenses.
What about you, James?
So if I know Andy Reid, which I probably don't because he's an NFL coach, one thing that he does is when he is behind, he starts doing these weird kind of things to try to catch up.
Yep. It's a gambler, man.
Because he tries to outsmart the defensive coordinator on the other side. And Andy Reid's a very good coach, and I don't have any reason to say otherwise. I mean, he's always been good in his career. But he's not good for fantasy purposes. And if we think that the Chargers are going to be up on them, I want literally nothing to do with Kareem Hunt. Because he won't – I mean, he got 25 carries, but the Raiders didn't even score a touchdown until the fourth quarter last week, I don't think.
True.
So I don't want Kareem Hunt in this matchup, and I think people are going to be on him. And I don't think that he'll be utilized like last week because the Chargers aren't going to score 0 points through 4 quarters. Like, I would rather pivot to Travis Kelce, who I like a lot. I'd rather pivot to Tyreek Hill, who I like a lot. I'd rather pivot to the air options rather than Kareem Hunt. With that being said, on the other side, Melvin Gordon at 7,400 has not been getting any ownership, and I understand that he hasn't been great because but his attempts 22, 19, 21, 16, 14, 18, 25, like this dude averages at like 23, 24 touches per game. And one of these weeks he's going to fall into the end zone 3 times. This might be the week that happens. Like, I know that it's been dominated by air yards, but I think that we need to start looking at Melvin Gordon as a pivot off of that as people get on the Chargers. I really like Melvin Gordon's GPP play this week. At 7,400, he has 2-3 touchdown upside, especially in a game against a team that gives up the most yards per carry on the ground in the entire league. So I like Melvin Gordon. He's probably my favorite play in this game. I agree with you guys. You can stack it if you want. I think that this game has a lot of points scored in it. I just prefer to have Melvin Gordon and the Kansas City passing game instead of the other way around, which I think will be chalkier.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't hate that. The Gordon thing is just I hate that his touches are good, but he was getting Eckler showed up and I think he's taken 10 to 15. Gordon was getting 30-something touches a game there for a while. I agree with everything you said, though, and it's a great GPP pivot. Maybe make one Chargers stack and one Gordon lineup or something, but it's tough to tell.
I wouldn't play Melvin Gordon in cash. I don't think that he's a good cash play anymore because of Eckler, you're right, but I do think that he has the ability to fall into the end zone 3 times and wrap 24 touches.
Yep. No doubt. Yeah, I'm not arguing that at all. I hope he does for my season-long playoffs, to be honest. Let's go to the next game. Yes, the Patriot Killers. I did say the Patriots struggle in Miami. It is something very bizarre. But Miami has the Buffalo where they struggle as well. There's no total or spread on this game as they're still waiting for Ty God to decide if he's going to play or not. It looks like it'll be another Peterman game. And, it wasn't horrible last week, well, because that team didn't have to throw the football. And that's what people forget. Bucks, why don't you kick us off on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that, honestly, I'm going to avoid the majority of. But a few things that I'll say. If Charles Clay plays, I like him.
Yep.
3,000, I think that's insane, that price. And honestly, the only other 2 plays that I like are LaShawn McCoy, who's a freaking stud, and honestly, Drake at $5,800.
It's ridiculous.
75% of the touches he's gotten, he's going to hit value there. So Drake and McCoy would be my 2 big targets. Clay at tight end. And we're 4 games in, and there's been, 5 running backs that are just in. So it's going to be interesting this week. I think from a receiver perspective, it's funneling to a few games, but there's so many good running back options. I'm not sure if any one running back's going to be super chalk. So it's going to be interesting. But I do like Drake. I love McCoy, and I like Clay.
Yeah, we're going to get to some running backs later. There's a lot of value running backs as well, so it is loaded this week. James, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think Kenyon Drake will be the highest owned player on the slate.
I think rightfully so.
Yeah, I think rightfully so as well. He's going to be ultra chalk. He's not expensive enough not even close. I mean, he should be priced like $7,500.
He's the Geo of this week.
Yeah, I mean,
just play him.
He's been a monster. He's a really, really good running back. So eat the chalk on that one. I really love him this week. Buffalo sucks against the run. They just get gashed constantly ever since they traded away their best run stopper, Marcel Darius. I really like Kenyon Drake, 5,800. He is by far my favorite play in this game. Landry is still only 6,100.
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense. I understand that he's somebody who only runs 3-yard slants, but this year they've been running him 3-yard slants into the frickin' end zone, and Jay Cutler is just feeding him when they get in the red zone. Look at his game log. He's been below double-digit fantasy points once. That is not a 6,100 player. He needs to be –
Nope.
He should be, 7K probably. So he's too cheap.
At least.
Yep.
And Buffalo sucks. So I like Jarvis Landry quite a bit too. I am not by any means suggesting that you go full Miami onslaught here, but I do think that Kenyon Drake and Jarvis Landry are some of the best one-offs on the slate this week. The defenses, if Peterman starts, the Dolphins at 2,700 is awesome. If Ty God starts, then it's not some, and it's not something I really want a part of. But at 2,700, if Peterman starts, I like the Dolphins defense. So Kenyon Drake and a Dolphins defense correlation play for me is definitely in play if Peterman starts.
Yep, we're on the same page here. I don't mind Shady at 84. I like the call on Clay Bucks at 3,000. The injury always concerns me, but he's one of those guys kind of like a Delaney Walker. If he suits up, I trust him. And at 3K, that's a steal against this Miami defense. But my main focus, you guys nailed it, Kenyon Drake is going to be at least 80 to 90% of my lineups, if not all of them. I try to deviate a little bit to not be 100%, but he might be the lock button. He might be there. I love Jarvis Landry at 61. I agree, way too cheap for what you're getting out of him. Cash games, he should be a lock in your lineups in cash. It shouldn't even be a question. And then, yes, if Peterman starts, Miami's defense at 27, lock and loaded up. Even against the Patriots, who they get like, 20-something points to, they still got 8 or 9 DraftKings points last week at $2,000. So they can be productive when they need to be. Let's head to the return of the GOAT. No, the real GOAT, Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay at Carolina. Carolina's a 6-point home favorite. Totals 44. James, kick us off in Carolina.
Yeah, so Cam Newton is the only player in NFL history to have 5 rushing touchdowns in every season that he's ever played. So go Panthers, by the way. And that's not just quarterbacks. That is literally every single player ever. Cam Newton is the only player to do that. So go Panthers. You have to play Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson this week, or you get your DFS card revoked. If you fade, and I was ribbing on 2 hats because I posted that the reason that there is still edge in DFS is because people won't play Jordy Nelson this week. And he DM'd me on Slack and he was like, I'm thinking about fading him this week. It's like, Mike, come on, dude. Like, play Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson is an 8K wide receiver with Aaron Rodgers, and he is only 6,300 this week. Play Jordy Nelson. Don't fade Jordy Nelson. Just play Jordy Nelson. Don't overthink this one. The Carolina running backs have been fantastic as of late, both Jonathan Stewart and Christian McCaffrey. If you look at Jonathan Stewart's log, 103 yards, 110 yards. He has a touchdown in every single game for 3. 5 touchdowns in that span, by the way, because he had 3 against Minnesota. It kind of feels like they were limiting Stewart at the beginning of the year to try to have him through the playoffs this year because they didn't have him last year. That's kind of what it feels. So I don't know. Jonathan Stewart at 4,100 is interesting against Green Bay. Like, he might fall into the end zone twice again. And Christian McCaffrey's been good too and actually got a price drop. I think you can stack this game back and forth. Play Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson. You can bring it back with Funchess. You can bring it back with Greg Olsen. You can bring it back with Christian McCaffrey. You can play Cam Newton with Jordy Nelson. Like, this is a game stack spot like last week when we had Philadelphia against
the Rams.
What?
Oh, sorry. You broke up at the Rams.
Oh, yeah. Philadelphia at the Rams. This is the same spot. I think you can pretty much just stack however you want in this game. It's a really good spot for fantasy goodness. I think Rodgers comes out and Jordy comes out and everybody just crushes.
Cam Newton at $6,400 is one of my favorite quarterbacks on the 11-game slate. I absolutely love his price tag and what his production is against a defense that is horrific. I love him. You can run him naked, run him stacked. I like the stacked idea. With Funchess at 66. Similar to the Inman situation, last week Greg Olsen had 0 targets but played 90% of the snaps. He's $4,000. He's staring me in the face because I know the production that he can put up there. I just don't know how healthy he is. But at $4,000, Greg Olsen could just go bananas in this game. There's someone to keep in mind. But I love the McCaffrey and Stewart at 4,100 in a game that – the line's almost a touchdown, so if they're going to take advantage of things, there should be some goal line touches, which he's just eating up right now. And he's getting a ton of carries, so I do like that at 4,100. On the Green Bay side of things, Nelson at 63, yeah, I like that. Cobb at 49, he used to have a good rapport with Cobb as well, and people are going to forget about him because he's been doing nothing with Hundley. The guy I'm looking at, though, and I think he's going to be very, very low owned, and if you want to get different at running back, Jamal Williams at $6,500 for the fact I'm not sure they want Rodgers dropping back, 30, 40, 50 times in a game, risking getting hit his first game back. I think they're going to keep Williams active, get him his 15 to 20 carries. You can run on Carolina a little bit, so not a ton. They are good at defense against the run, but Williams at $6,500 could be one of the contrarian running backs on the slate. But as you mentioned earlier, there's a ton of running backs, so ownership might not be as big of an issue. But I love the Carolina side of things. Newton, big-time Newton guy this week with Funchess, and the running backs are good as well. Bucks, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, you guys covered the majority of it. I do like Cam Newton a ton this week. I think $6,400 for him is a steal. I think you're almost guaranteed at least 50 rushing yards right now. So his price is crazy, crazy low. Aaron Rodgers, $6,800 for one of the best ever. I'm hesitant to play him just because his first game back, but honestly, he's not going to come back unless he's ready. And he says he's ready, and he says he wants to feed Jordy. So that's all I need to hear. So I'll be playing Jordan Nelson this week. I like Cam Newton better than Rodgers this week. I like that you brought up Jamal Williams play for the fact that he has been averaging 50 receiving yards a game on top of his rushing yards. So a great play there. Jonathan Stewart, man, that dude's been a freaking monster. I love it. Love it. I think honestly, like when you look at the rushing yards he's been putting up and the rushing yards Cam Newton's been putting up, like they're the best rushing team in the NFL. It's just crazy. So, and then McCaffrey, obviously, but I'm not looking at him as a really. So I like everything that you guys mentioned. I am going to avoid Olsen because I can't trust him yet. So I would throw that out there. And then one thing that I will say is, I think it will be a contrarian play with upside because this is first game back. Game to come back to for Rodgers. I mean, the Panthers defense can be good. And if you don't think that they're going to be jacked up trying to get to Rodgers the first game back, you're wrong. So I actually like the Panthers at $2,900 to be an upside.
Yep. I don't mind that at all.
Really quick, I do have something to say about this game. For the FanDuel Superflex, you can this strategy is such a cool thing because you can go Aaron Rodgers and Cam Newton in the same lineup, stacking with their main wide receivers in this game.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yep. How cool is that?
Yep.
Yeah, like I have a lineup built right now that I love, that I will probably enter, and it's like this is such a cool thing for FanDuel to do, man. Like people, go play on FanDuel this week. Go support this innovation.
I will be.
Or you could stack the Patriots and the Steelers.
Yeah, like you can do really cool things with this. Like go support this. Go support this innovation.
That's going to be the new trend. I'm glad you mentioned it. Like the true full game stack. Both quarterbacks, all the receivers.
It's going to be wild. Literally, like you don't even need the red zone anymore. I just want one game on TV.
You're gonna have a Millie winner with just the Thursday night game, like legitimately.
Yeah, he gets to sweat for the next 4 days and hope no one passes him. waking up every morning to see if your thing still says winning $1 million.
FYI, not this Thursday night game, a Thursday night game.
Yes, very true. Very true. All right, let's go to the next game, AFC North battle, Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland is a 7-point home dog, 40.5-point team total. There's some sneakiness to like here. I know we talk about Flacco. He's 5,100. I'm not in love with him, but he has been like a top 15 quarterback of late. Almost 18 points, 18.5 points his last two. He's been very serviceable to say the least. So he's in play with Mike Wallace at 47. It's a good cheap wide receiver quarterback option. But what I like the most is Alex Collins at $5,000. We've been on this guy a lot now, and he's just getting the workload. He's a beast back there. Another 27 points, back-to-back 20-plus point games, getting 15-plus carries, getting a couple targets. He's finding the end zone, which obviously helps. But $5,000 against a Browns team that does defend the run very well, he could be an interesting play in that matchup. And then Baltimore's defense is always in play. I like them better at home than on the road. But they're always in play against a guy like Kaiser who will take sacks and have a turnover or two. On the other side, though, a naked Kaiser at 5,000 continues to be very, very productive. We loved him the last few weeks, actually. He's been very, very good for us. Another 19 points last week. He's got 15 or more in 3 straight. He's $5,000. So he's in play. Duke Johnson at 4,400 continues to be in play. Got 14 more points last week. So don't hate him at all. I'm torn on Gordon at 68. That price tag is jumping quick, and I like some other guys in that matchup. I do respect the Ravens defense. I really do. I know Gordon's good, so if you want to go there, you can. And then Njoku got 0 targets last week. It was a weird week of guys just getting ignored that have been doing so well, but that's the NFL this year in a nutshell. So I don't mind going back to him at $2,700, the cheap tight end. Bucks, what do you have on this one?
First thing I got to mention is Isaiah Crowell crushed last week. Just crushed. I'm pumped. That's the only reason I watched any part of that game, was to see if he would crush, and he crushed. So, moving on, do you either of you know if Jimmy Smith is playing for the Ravens this week?
I have no idea.
If he's playing, I am going to limit my Gordon exposure. If Jimmy Smith is not playing, I am all in on Josh Gordon. That is about all I like in this game. I do not like Flacco. I won't play him. I'm not a huge Kaiser fan. I'm a Gordon fan, not a Kaiser fan. I do like Collins this game, but really the main guy, like the real big upside play that I like this game, is Josh Gordon. I mean, it's hard to ignore the Ravens defense right now. And I know that's weird playing Gordon and the Ravens, but I mean, for what is it, $3,800? Depending on some things falling into place, Jimmy Smith playing, that could be a nice play.
And you know what? I know people say don't play like your offensive guys versus your defense, but if it's just one receiver versus your defense, the receiver can still have a day and your defense can still get, a pick six and some picks. So it's not the end of the world, and it's contrarian as hell. No one's going to do that stuff.
Especially when it's the Browns, who are going to find a way to lose anyways, and it's probably by a defensive touchdown.
Exactly. So it's not the worst idea, actually. We've had worse, probably. So this is not bad.
Thank you.
No, not you. I said we. It was a conjunctive. James, what do you got on this one?
The Browns defense is 2,600, and I know they're bad. Like, I get that they're bad, but they weren't bad for an entire half last week. And I can't quit this because this team – I'm going to try really hard not to go on a full rant here, but this
please do.
Yeah, we enjoy it at least once a week.
God, from a talent standpoint, this team is so good. And you can see it. Like, you can see that Kaiser has so much talent. And you can see that Josh Gordon is so good. And Corey Coleman is so good. And Njoku is so good. And their offensive line is not bad. And their defense has so many good players. Like, Myles Garrett is a monster. They have a good linebacker core. But somehow, some freaking way on this earth, they find ways to waste it. And I don't get it. Because Hugh Jackson used to be somebody who was good with talent. Like, he used to be regarded for understanding and utilizing and optimizing talent, and we just have this that doesn't make sense to me, and it just pisses me off every week, because win a freaking game, dude. Like, just, you can do it, and I'm mad about it, and
I love this.
That's my Browns rant, man. Like, they should be good, and I want them to be good so bad.
I want them to keep sucking, so we got 3 more weeks of this.
2,600 defense in this spot. The Ravens throw the ball a lot, and Flacco is not very good. I also like the Ravens defense at 3,800 because the defense for the Ravens is incredible, and it has been for years, and they just keep getting better. Alex Collins is a very, very good play. I also think he's going to be super chalk. I think he'll be the second chalk behind Kenyon Drake. That's probably going to be the most used lineup. It's going to be some combination of Kenyon Drake and Alex Collins, and then paying up at wide receiver. So your contrarian build is going to be paying down at wide receiver and paying up at running back, which I generally do anyway. I won't touch Flacco in this game. I think Kaiser's interesting. Showed a lot of upside last week. And Josh Gordon, I think, will go under-owned because he's in basically the same price range as Jordy Nelson, who will be like 50% owned. So I like Josh Gordon as a contrarian play as well. But the main play here is Alex Collins, the Ravens defense, and that's my spiel.
It's wild that it's only taken Gordon 2 active games to be more expensive than Jarvis Landry by $700. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Took him 2 games. Oh, the DK algorithm. You did mention Corey Coleman, and I didn't want to bring it up until, well, you mentioned it. If you want to go on small samples and just like really weird stuff, and maybe they focus more on Gordon, Coleman has blown up like double digits in every home game and gone away on road games. If you believe in anything on that stature, that's probably some of the worst analysis you'll ever hear. And if you believe in weird stuff, there's an angle for $4,400. Just throwing it out there. But that's if you're desperate and you can't decide between like 3 guys. Have $4,600 for Djax. Let's just go there. Let's go Houston at Jacksonville. Jacksonville 10-point home favorites, totals 39. This Jacksonville spreads are getting – this is 2017, folks, 2017. The Bucks kick us off in Jacksonville.
This game is just awesome. You got you got Chad Henne, more expensive than Yates and Savage as the backup. That's number one. You got Blake Bortles playing against one of the worst defensive teams in the entire league at $5,700, which is awesome. You got a guy, honestly, one of my favorite plays this week right now. One of my favorite plays this week is Marquise Lee. Love this dude. I mean, getting targets. If he's healthy, I love him. Absolutely love him. I know Hearns is injured as well. I got to watch that. But this is just crazy, man. I mean, good spot for the Jags pass game. I'm going to avoid Fournette this week, likely. And then I am likely going to be 100% on Jags D. And that's all I got. Like I feel personally for the Jags is 25 points for the defense. $500, that's a must play for me. So I'm going to play it.
Well, their team total is 24.5, so it's a good guess. Who was the guy you have 100% of? You broke up a second there.
100% Jags D.
Okay.
Favorite play, though.
Okay, gotcha. James, what do you like on this one?
You know who's a better football player than Marquise Lee?
D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah.
He is.
Yes.
He is good.
Boom. That's my guy.
Lee, I think, has led the league in air yards since his return. And he's only 5,100. He was a freaking monster in the preseason. He has come back and he's had 10 targets, 9 targets, and 8 targets for 41, 78, and 81 yards with a touchdown in his most recent game against Seattle. Do you guys remember if Houston is really bad against the pass? Because
they've gotten worse as the year's gone on.
Yes.
Okay. So
they've given up everything.
Yeah, play D.D. Westbrook.
They're 18. Right now, they're 18th.
Them all. Play all of them and Bortles.
No. But if you play all of them, then you are saying to play Blake Bortles, and I literally
said yes.
Yes, play Blake Bortles.
Ever play Blake Bortles.
I've been saying it for weeks now. Look at his
says
line.
the guy who played Trubisky 2 weeks ago.
Dude, like even shitty players can have good games, and Blake Bortles is he's so bad. He is so bad, and I hate him, and I get it, but I hate him. Not playing him. I'll play D.D. Westbrook. I like Marquise Lee. Play the Jags defense, and play D.D. Westbrook as a one-off. But please, God, don't fall into Bortles' traps. Don't believe his lies. He sucks.
What?
All right, everybody, play Blake Bortles at $5,700. Play Blake Bortles at $5,700. I love Blake this week. I love him. I do.
He's averaging over 20 points his last 3 games.
Against Seattle, Indiana, and Arizona.
It is a 3-game sample, and it is against, let's see, Seattle, who's missing their entire secondary and are running like milk boys out there. Indiana, who doesn't have a secondary and only has water boys run out there. Arizona, who had Patrick Peterson injured, Cleveland, who
and
sucked.
now he has the worst pass D in the entire league.
It doesn't matter to me. I hate him. You guys play.
We will. We will.
Okay, here we go. Another golf bet. You remember when I had
Yes.
Dolphins against Cutler? I will take the Jaguars defense against Bortles this week.
Oh, yes, please.
All right. I think both of them score more than 25 points.
I'll take that one too.
Bold calls coming out early.
That's like the anti-correlation, right?
That really is.
Yes, that is. They did smoke him in Houston opening weekend. But I like Bortles at 57. I love D.D. Westbrook. He's one of my favorite, especially mid-range receivers. $5,100 is ridiculous for his upside. I don't mind Lee. Your take's completely accurate there. The Jags defense at 45. If you're paying up, you pay there. I don't mind Fournette, but I like them throwing the ball this week. I really do. I'm going to keep doing it, and I know he's $7,700, but I don't care the defense. Hopkins, they have no one else to throw to. He's going to get targets. We saw you can beat these guys. I don't care who the quarterback is. He's going to keep throwing to Hopkins for $7,700, and no one's going to own him. We've seen this time in and time out since Watson's been out, and he keeps doing it. So if you want to get really contrarian in that higher price wide receiver range, don't just walk past Hopkins because they're facing the Jags. We saw they can be beat by good receivers. So I have to at least bring him up. I don't mind him at all in this week. Cincinnati at Minnesota. Minnesota 10-point home favorites. Totals 42. Cincinnati they got smoked last week by Trubisky and the Bears. Absolutely embarrassing. James, kick us off on this one.
This game doesn't do anything for me. Like, at all. Cincinnati is so bad. So bad. And Minnesota is good, but I mean, you could do a Minnesota stack here, and you could go Keenum with either Stephon Diggs or Adam Thielen. Like, you could do it, and that's fine, but it just doesn't do anything for me. I think I'd just rather have the Vikings at 3,500 for their defense than stack them, because I know that Andy Dalton is bad, but I don't know where the targets are going to go for the Minnesota wide receivers. So it's really just it's just the Minnesota defense for me.
What about you, Bucks?
Couple plays that I like, and that's a strong word right now with this team. But at $3,400, I actually like Brandon LaFell this week. So it's really good against the wide receiver one, and I think that leaves LaFell to get some additional targets. The only issue is he has Andy Dalton throwing to him. $3,400, I think you can do way worse. Going to look at Adam Thielen throughout the week, because if for some reason his knee injury flares up, then Diggs, just because. I mean, he's going to see additional targets, and we know that with game he's bound to catch one deep, so I might go there. And at $5,800, that's crazy. Like, Thielen at 76 and Diggs at 58 is just, if you would have told me that at the beginning of the year, you're effing nuts. Really, Vikings at $3,500, like James said. I mean, it's a solid play. You can't argue that. Andy Dalton sucks, and that whole team sucks. So,
yeah, it's defense definitely in play at 3,500. A Keenum Thielen stack I don't hate. Keenum at home has been really, really good. He's been good on the road too, but at home he's been really, really good. So I don't mind Keenum at 61 and Thielen at 76 if he's healthy, as you stated. He continues to be overlooked, and he's been producing just like the guys in that price range. He deserves the price he has. So I don't mind that stack. Thielen, like I said, overlooked. I don't really want anything to do with Cincinnati. If you want to look at whatever running back starts, you can. But I'd rather play chalky Alex Collins or pay up for Kenyon Drake than play the running backs there, I think. I love the defense in Minnesota. Keenum and Thielen there. And if Thielen's out, Diggs at 58 is a steal. But if Thielen's there, I'm staying with Thielen the whole time. Jets at the Saints. Okay, so we had back-to-back 10-point spreads. Now we get New Orleans at home as a 16-point favorite. Total's 47. New Orleans has a 31.5-point team total. So all you DFS touts out there will tell you, stack the Saints. They have the highest total on the board. Bucks, what do you want to do with this game?
Saints.
I'm afraid of blowouts. This is my only concern.
I mean, honestly, this game I think is. I'm honestly shocked that this game is that far apart because I don't think the Jets are honestly that bad. Like McCown, yes,
yeah,
kills it. I get it. But I don't know, man. I'd like to say that this is just like one of those games where they're just gonna blow them out of the water, but Breeze hasn't been great, and the Jets are decent against the run. Like Breeze he's broken 20 fantasy points once in his last 7 games. So he's been serviceable, and maybe that's because he doesn't have to just go bananas. But this is just a really weird game for me. The only play that I keep finding myself gravitating towards, and I'm not even sure why. I think just for potential upside is Forte at 4K.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get a bunch of targets, that kind of thing. But honestly, I just really, really don't like this game. Yeah, I'm going to likely avoid it other than $3,900 going there either. So, yeah, I'm pretty much avoiding this whole game.
What are you looking at here, James?
The Saints should not be 16-point favorites against anyone.
I agree.
They shouldn't. 16-point favorites. I'm still put aback a little bit when the Patriots are 16-point favorites, because even that is a bit of a stretch for me as a spread in the NFL.
Man.
Yeah, in the NFL, that doesn't make any sense. The Jets haven't been awful on the ground, and they haven't been awful through the air either. As a defense, their defense hasn't been awful this year. I understand that they just lost against the Broncos, but this spread should be at most 13-point favorites for the Saints. At most.
Yeah.
13.5. This will get bet way down. Bryce Petty does suck. And Christian Hackenberg does suck. They are nothing compared to what the god Josh McCown can do.
Yes, that beautiful blonde bombshell.
Oh, that guy, he was so good. I don't know what to do with this. People are going to say that this is a 16-point spread at home, play both running backs, and people are probably going to be all over both Ingram and Kamara at 82 and 8,600. But that seems like a trap. This spread seems like a trap, and I don't really want to touch this game at all. It just I can't. Nope. What do you think, Bubba?
When I was doing research here, the team total and the spread just threw me for, like you guys said, this is the NFL. How is this possible? And it really makes you think. I know you guys said it. Bryce Petty's really bad, but does Josh McCown move the needle that much?
Right.
Really?
That's going to be my question. Is what would the spread have been with Josh McCown?
Yeah, he can't be worth that many points. It's crazy.
I think he should be worth 4 points against the spread. So that's implying this would have still been a 12-point game with
No way. No way.
It's crazy. But for what I think, I love the Forte call, because if it is kind of getting run away, they're going to dump it off to him all day. Even if it's not, him and Powell are going to get a heavy workload. If it's tight, it's Powell's game. If it's a blowout, it's Forte's game, in my opinion. We shall see. But it's risky. I don't know if I want to take those gambles. But they are cheap running backs. These are a couple of the cheapies you can look at. Other than that, Saints defense at 39, I don't mind, because I think Petty or Hackenberg will throw some picks. It's coming. And then I go Ingram at 82, because if it is kind of a blowout, they're going to run it into the ground. But then Do they maybe use the third string back? I don't know. It's like I'd rather go pay for Gurley at 83, which we'll talk about. Le'Veon Bell's going to be 93, or you pay down for Gordon, or Gordon's not on the main slate. There's other options, basically, is what I'm saying. So it's a tough one. If you feel like you need the Saints and you want a cheap play just to have some action on with your lineup here, Coleman at 3K at receiver could be sneaky nice in a blowout situation. I don't mind him, but I'm with you guys. This is tough. Like, I almost just want one of the running backs to pick either one in the Saints defense, or just watch this game and pray to God it doesn't do what it looks like it's going to do.
If I'm going to choose a running back between Kamara and Ingram, it's going to be Ingram.
But that's my thoughts.
The entire year, like I think that Kamara is going to be way too. He's going to get extra ownership because he's back from that concussion and this 16-point spread. I'd rather go with the volume that's been consistent all year with Ingram.
Exactly, 100% with you on that. That's kind of my thought process on this, and it's just brutal, man. It's a tough spread and situation in this matchup because, like you guys both said, Jets aren't this bad, especially but even defensively they're not this bad. But we'll see. Maybe we'll be, crying in our own tears later. Let's go to a different game. Let's get off of this one. Philadelphia at the Giants. Giants are 8-point home dogs. Total's 40. The Ginger is gone. Foles is in, and Foles is an 8-point road favorite. Explain that one to me. Bucks, kick us off here.
Yeah, I love Foles at $5,500. I think they're going to try to work him and get him ready for the playoffs. And I love pairing him with Ertz. Like, against the Giants, that's an easy target for him. Feed him, try to get Foles comfortable in the game. When looking at these prices, I think it's crazy Aguilar and Jeffrey are so far apart in price.
It's
like
nuts.
$5,900 to $4,400. They're the same player. If not, Aguilar has much higher upside. Alshon Jeffrey, 30-yard game. And I feel like he should have 2 or 3 games where he's 150 plus, with the usage he's been getting, and it just hasn't happened. So, are at $4,400, but I really, really like Ertz at 6,000. I think that's a steal of this game. From a running back, I don't like anybody in this game. Ajayi, either of them have been getting the usage that I would be needing, especially with so much other value on the board. The last play that I will be targeting this game is the Eagles D. Mm-hmm. That defense legit and sucks, and I think the Eagles just stomp them. I think this should be a 16-point spread more than the last game.
I could justify that a little more. Yeah. I'm with you. I do like Foles at 55. I don't mind it at all. I'll pair him up with Aguilar at 44 and Ertz at 6K.
Yeah.
I like all of that. I love the Philly def. That's 3,600. I want nothing to do with the Giants at all. What are your takes, James?
Yeah, I'm mostly with you guys. I really think that Foles Ertz is a super elite pairing just based on everything that we know about a quarterback coming in and going to his check down valve and the tight end. We already know that Ertz is an elite talent as well, and the Giants suck. So everything just kind of points to Ertz being a fantastic play this week. I already have one lock button with Kenyon Drake, and the other one is probably going to be Ertz because everything just makes sense in this spot for me, and it should for you guys too. I think we're just all on Ertz here. I think Foles is fine at 5,500, and maybe I don't know. Foles has been good in the past, but traveling on the road against a team that was just brutalized by Dak, I don't know. He might get a little bit more ownership than I want to deal with, but I really do like Ertz. Ertz is my favorite play here.
Most definitely. Let's move on. Arizona at the Washington Redskins. Redskins 4.5-point home favorites. Totals 43.5. James, why don't you kick us off here?
Yeah, so Blaine Gabbert, 4,800. His price just doesn't go up. Even though he does have good upside at 8 points last week against Tennessee is a super big letdown, but he did only throw 26 times. He still had 4 rushing attempts. So, I don't know. Blaine Gabbert at 4,800 is probably an okay play against this Washington team that hasn't been good for the second half of the season. Cousins at 6K after a huge letdown. Good God, last week. That was awful. You need to talk to your boy, Bucks, because he let me down pretty hard. The Washington stack was the only team that I had Hopkins on. I did not have Hopkins on my Philadelphia stack. So, Dr. Boy, running back, Adrian Peterson is questionable. Not sure that he's going to play again this year, so we're moving down the list. Kerwin Williams is listed as the next running back. He had 20 attempts for 73 yards and a reception for 15 yards on his one target. At 4K against Washington, I think that's pretty good. It's playing, I don't know. It depends on who you think Kerwin Williams is. But he looked good last week, and for 4K, I think that you could go back to him if he's going to continue to have that volume, which I do think that he will. For the wide receivers, I'm going to go back to Jamison Crowder at 5,600. It was a letdown spot for the entire Washington passing offense last week, but I think that that's a rebound spot here. So I like any of his options. I would probably avoid Doxson again because he's going to get another shadow treatment from Patrick Peterson, but I really, really do like Jamison Crowder. Vernon Davis caught a touchdown last week. He's only 3,900 against Arizona, but I do think that Tyrann Mathieu is a good coverage person. So Kerwin Williams at 4K is my favorite play in this game, and then probably Cousins Crowder as a secondary stack.
Yeah, I agree. Kerwin Williams is probably one of the best value running backs on the slate at 4,000. Big fan on that one. Gabbert's, yeah, okay. I'd probably go elsewhere, but I don't mind him. I get what you're going with. I do like Fitzgerald at 6,900. He can have some fun with the secondary if you feel like it. But Crowder at 56, definitely in play. Cousins not bad at 6K. And then if you want to get a cheap defense, Washington at $2,800, I don't hate. I know Bucks hates their defense, but hear me out on this one. The offensive line for the Cardinals is decimated, just like the Washington one is. So you can play the other side too if you want, I guess. But I like Washington at home at $2,800. A nice cheap home defense in this matchup if you don't want to take any other pieces. But if you don't want to trust the defenses, Kerwin Williams at 4K, Fitzgerald, Cousins, Crowder. What are your thoughts, Mr. Redskins?
Yeah, I mean, the Redskins suck, dude. Like, that team, like, no joke. Like, half the defensive players don't want to be there. Cousins don't want to be there. I don't blame him. The Redskins have mismanaged him the last 4 seasons. It's just insane. Like, and when you hear these team interviews, I listen to 106.7, the Junkies, all day, and they nail it every week. And they have players on every single day, and it's just, they're done. Like, their whole season's done, and for that reason, I wouldn't trust anybody on the Redskins outside of potentially Crowder, because that dude's just, he's going to try to get he's trying to make his money. Norman, he's checked out. He doesn't want to be there. When I think about the other parts of the defense, they don't want to be there. Then when I think about the defensive coaching, they got Rashad Breeland, and he doesn't cover tight ends. And so the only play that I really like this week is Seals Jones, because he's going to be covered by somebody that doesn't know how to cover a tight end. Insane. And so I'm going to play Seals Jones. I might play Crowder. I personally, if like John Brown, Seals Jones, I might play all of them because the Redskins suck. Fitzgerald's going to get tossed the ball 15 times. Norman can't shut down, but half the time, like, he hasn't even been that good. And he says he just wants to be there to win championships. Well, you shouldn't have gone to the Redskins in the first place, you idiot. Redskins suck, man. Just play Seals Jones because the Redskins suck. That's it. Period.
Yeah, I love Fitz at 69. If you want to go there, like you said, he's going to get fed and fed and fed. Rams at the Seahawks. Nice NFC West battle here. Seattle -2 at home. 48 total. Got some offense popping off. Russell Wilson, the magician. $7,300 at home. Sign me up. Just keep playing this freaking guy. I don't care what his price is. Keep playing Russell Wilson. He is the top guy on this slate. I think I'd rather have him over Brady. I'm going to piss people off with that one. Give me Russell Wilson at 73. You can match him up with Baldwin at 67, Graham at 49, or play him naked because, like you saw last week in Jacksonville, Baldwin, Lockett, and Richardson all caught one touchdown. It's either that or just match him with Graham. His red zone targets are through the roof at $4,900. I still can't trust the running back situation, even though Mike Davis did get the heavy workload the last 2 weeks. We've seen that story play out all year, though, and then out of nowhere, here comes another guy. But if you trust it at 4K, another solid, cheap value. On the Rams side of things, Goff keeps getting it done at 62 against a horrific pass defense in Seattle. They are just going downhill. So Goff Cup combo, I don't mind, but I prefer Gurley at $8,300. Match him with Wilson and Graham or something. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great play. Gurley is just money in the bank at $8,300. James, what do you like here?
Go on to FanDuel and just play both Russell Wilson and Jared Goff.
There you go.
And pair them with Todd Gurley, Doug Baldwin, and Paul Richardson and Cooper Kupp, and then just insert somebody else. Like, this game is the same thing as Philadelphia Rams was last week, just with Russell Wilson on the other side this time instead of Carson Wentz. It should be a shootout. If the Rams score points, the only way that Seattle will score points is through Russell Wilson. Plain and simple, point blank. They don't have any other production anywhere else. And Russell Wilson, I feel bad for telling people not to play him last week. I literally feel bad.
You should.
I might have lost people like season-long fantasy football playoffs because I told them to bench Russell Wilson against the Jags. And I feel awful, and here's my apology. I'm taking the L on that one. He's insane. Stack this game up however you want it. I don't need to say anything more than that. Don't play Mike Davis. I think that he's kind of a trap. Yep. I think we agree on that. Just play the main playmakers from this game and just make money. Just print.
Yep. Dollar bills, y'all. Bucks, what do you think on this one?
So last week when we were talking about game, we ran through a bunch of scenarios, but then we talked and went game by game and what quarterbacks that he had faced. And we had mentioned Arizona, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Indianapolis. Indianapolis again. Ben sucked. He hadn't seen a decent quarterback. They haven't seen a decent quarterback, really, let alone Russell Wilson, who has legs. And so we said last week that this would be the true test for the Jags, right? If they could contain Russell Wilson, then they were legit. And they could not contain him. I mean, Russell Wilson is a monster. To any which way he wants. He makes things happen on the fly. Absolutely. Play Russell Wilson. $7,300 is insanely cheap for a guy with that upside and that floor, to be honest with you. His floor is sick. Russell Wilson is awesome. Todd Gurley, like him and Gordon this week, like that stack there is going to be super low owned and major upside. So I love that this week. And then, you have Baldwin and Cooper Kupp, even Watkins. Like, you have a lot of good plays here. But I do like Jimmy Graham. Barring any setbacks, he should be playing, so I really like him. But, Russell Wilson is like – he's going to be an auto play for me every single week in at least one lineup because he is just a monster. And, that's about it.
Yep, can't hate on any of that. Let's go a fun one here, and it's not a primetime game. New England at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a 3-point home dog. Total's 53. Belichick coming off a beatdown by Miami. This just has chaos written all over it. Bucks, kick us off here.
Yeah, so I love. I'm going to be at this game, by the way.
Oh,
But
nice.
I love New England this game, and I hate to say it because I hate New England, but if Pittsburgh wins and the Jags win the next 2 games, which they can do, it's like they don't have a bye. They don't have home field advantage for the first time in forever. And they likely get to play like the Ravens in the first round, which they don't want to do. So incredible motivation for the Patriots to actually play this late in the season, which is rare. So I love basically this whole game stack. I mean, honestly, like we've talked about this whole Superflex and FanDuel stacking the whole game. There's spots where it's probably way too pricey to do it, but if you could do it, this is another game to give it a shot because I love Brady here. I love Roethlisberger here. I think Brady's going to go just nuts. I love Le'Veon Bell. Rex Burkhead's probably going to go bananas because Pittsburgh really struggles against shifty running backs, pass catching running backs. On the other side, nobody's going to stop Antonio Brown, so he's going to get his. It's just how many times can they contain him because they're not going to fully stop him. But Brandon Cooks should get his as well. I mean, there's you can make a case for every single person outside of Martavius Bryant. And then Gronkowski is 7,300. I'm not going to touch. I think that's way too pricey against Pittsburgh. A little banged up back there in the secondary as well, so he'll probably get his. I'm not going to obviously touch either of these defenses, but I have to play Brady this week. $7,600, but he's actually playing for something, and he's the GOAT.
James, what's your take on this one?
So you guys not you guys necessarily because we don't really talk basketball that much, but I say all the time that LeBron James doesn't care until he has to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, LeBron James literally doesn't even actually try that hard in basketball games in the regular season unless it's like a narrative where people are like, oh, well, this is, blah, blah, blah. You know, like if there's a narrative, then he'll play hard. But he doesn't play hard until the playoffs. I don't think Tom Brady really plays that hard either throughout the regular season. I don't think that he has to try that hard. In this game, he's going to try.
Yeah.
In this game, he's going to try, and not only is he going to try, but Belichick is going to try. Because getting beat by the frickin' Dolphins.
What?
Yeah, get out of here with your.
Hey, that's my only thing I get to grasp onto right now. Smoking Jay, taking care of business on Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Smoking Jay, yada, yada. And Brady will care about making a statement in this game because Pittsburgh is one of the teams that is a threat to them in the playoffs or whatever. This is a statement game for the Patriots, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. The best situation, the most Pittsburgh Steelers thing to do in fantasy would be a letdown here. It would be the most Pittsburgh Steelers thing on the frickin' planet. I much prefer the Patriots side where I know that not only do they have the coaching, but they also have the talent. They have Belichick and Brady that will run up the score here. They will run up the score here. Rather than having Tomlin, who's like emotional and not really that good of a coach, with Big Ben, who's been inconsistent this year. I understand that, stack this game. I get it. But in GPPs, I really like fading Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It's hard for me to fade Bell and Brown, but I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying because, a pissed-off Patriots team, a pissed-off Belichick is never a good thing. Never, ever. So I agree with everything you said there. Brady and company, Burkhead, Cooks. Even Hogan at 55 is interesting. His first game back was last week from his injury, so he could be real sneaky at 55. We got to remember with Pittsburgh, they've gotten off back-to-back physical games against Baltimore and Cincinnati. Like, beat the crap out of each other games. And now they get New England, who's going to be shifty and running and making you move and a whole different animal. So I don't mind if you still want to attack Pittsburgh because they're at home and they do good things at home. They have a very talented offense. But I agree with the Brady side of things. It's going to be dangerous. And like I said, Bell Brown, Juju's cheap, but there's a lot of interesting factors when you have that one in play. But Gronk at 73 is not ridiculous, but I could see the angle there. And Ben, he had a 500-yard game, threw it 66 times last game. You're not going to get those numbers over and over again. Before that, it was 40 attempts, 45, 45. So it's just people need to get off that narrative street. You got your, you guys been talking about your Pittsburgh, stacks over and over again. You got it. Now, time to get Brady back in action because, like you said, he cares. He heard all the crap already this week. You were horrible. Pray for Pittsburgh. Just pray for them. If they win, I'll be so happy because I hate the Patriots, but just pray for them. Tennessee at the San Francisco Giants, or San Francisco 49ers. Sorry, baseball in the brain.
Same thing.
Niners are actually favored. They played great with Jimmy G. They're favored by 2 points at home. Total's 44. Jimmy G at $6,300 is a really good play against a bad pass defense in Tennessee. Good one at 6K I like. Carlos Hyde, he's getting the workload on the ground, but they're not dumping it off to him with Jimmy G. That might change after the hits Jimmy G took last week. He got beat up. So they might tell him, hey, kid, we need you for the future. Drop it off some more. We'll see, but at 55, still a good play there. I like those three plays in that matchup. On the other side of the ball, the Niners defense has played better of late, but not great. So Matthews at 5,300, Rashad. And then DeMarco Murray, because the Niners can't stop pass-catching backs. He's $4,700, so that's interesting. But if you don't want anything about Tennessee's defense, the Niners' defense at 2,600, the 2 games with Jimmy G, I believe it was 14 points and 16 points is all they gave up. They've actually been very formidable. They're at home. I believe, as I pull this up real quick, it's Jimmy G's first home game start as well, which is, he's been on the road the first 2. They got 16 and 14 points given up. So I don't mind them at 2,600 as a punt defense either. Bucks, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is like another one of those games where you could stack both sides of the ball and be fine. Because, I mean, Jimmy G, yes. Mariota, who's just been such a disappointment. But, I mean, he's in a decent spot here, so why not? And he's $5,900. G, I love Goodwin. I mean, we've been on this guy all freaking year, and I think when we were on him originally, he was like $3,200.
Yeah,
crazy. And now he's 6K, and like that's value.
Mm-hmm.
I think against Tennessee in this game at home, he's going to have 10 targets, 7 catches, 120 yards. Hopefully he catches a touchdown because he's just going to go crazy. Kenny Walker's a beast. You can't argue that. And $5,200 for him is, I think, value. And then as far as the running backs go, Carlos Hyde is always in play for me. Catches a ton of balls, gets a ton of work. But a in play that I was thinking about earlier was Mariota's been so bad playing both Henry and Murray. Letting both of them have it. Let them both eat. I mean, there are potentially plenty of points to go around. And just moving on from there, I think at 48 and $4,700, I think that's legitimate. I mean, hold on one second. Let me see what Le'Veon Bell is $9,300. I can get both DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry for $9,700, and I would wager that they outpace Le'Veon Bell this game. So I like both of those guys in this game. Defensively, I'm not touching any of it, but yeah, really stacking those 2 running backs for the Titans and then Goodwin on the other side. Love it.
And before I pass it on to James, Jimmy G will be chalked this week. Just throwing that out there real quick.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
James, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I think Bucks pretty much nailed it. I don't have much to add to it. I think Garoppolo 6,300 is a fine play. Even if he's chalk, I think that he's in a good spot. He's a good quarterback. He has proved to be able to lead an offense. Marquise Goodwin at K is fine. He's been getting the targets. He's been getting work. I think that's great. This game has potential to blow up, but does it have more potential to blow up than the Rams-Seahawks game? I don't think so. Does it have enough potential to blow up over the Green Bay-Carolina game? I don't think so. I'd rather stack other spots, but I do like the one-off plays here, and I think that Jimmy G is a fine play if that's the route that you would like to go.
Yep.
All right, let's go to some Sunday night primetime action. Dallas Cowboys at the Oakland Raiders. Raiders 3-point home dogs. Total is 46. James, why don't you kick us off on this one?
Both these teams suck.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main analysis here. Derek Carr has been bad this year after all that regression caught up to him after his monster contract. Amari Cooper is still beat up and might not even play this week. If he doesn't play, then Crabtree is a great play against this Dallas team, except Sean Lee is back, in which case he makes his defense pretty decent.
Yep.
So we have the Dallas defense that is kind of decent against a bad team with overrated players. And then we have Dak Prescott, who just went off for a 40-point game because frickin' of course he did. After not doing anything for weeks, he has a 29-point game against the Giants. So if you think that he is going to have another game where he averages 17 yards per completion, you go ahead and play him. If you are a logical human being like me and you think that he regresses back to his average of about 9.5 yards per completion, you shouldn't play him. So I'm off everybody in this game. I think that Dez Bryant is going to end up being a really kind of chalky option at 6,500 because Oakland is very, very bad. And, yeah, I get it. He's had a couple touchdowns here and there. But he still hasn't had a 100-yard game since, the Prohibition era.
Week 10.
So, yeah, he doesn't – he's just not the kind of wide receiver that I ever want. And I have to say that every week. But he'll be chalky this week, and it's a good spot. So, if you're going to play Dak Prescott, play him with Dez Bryant and just – let that be. I do like Alfred Morris, though, who continues to be pretty good. And I think that people are going to be all over Rod Smith after having a ridiculous second half, but that's chalk that I'm going to fade. I'd rather have some of the other guys we've talked about.
Yep. What about you, Bucks?
Yeah, I'm going to fade almost the entirety of this game. I do think that Sean Lee makes a big Dallas D. And if they get up, I do like Rod Smith to have the bulk of the second half carries because I think he's that future back for him. I mean, obviously Elliott's still there, but he has a different year. He looks way smoother, way faster than Alf. Alf is good, man. I wish he was still in Dallas. Still in Washington. But I can't realistically play either of them. It's like a crapshoot. I did say a few weeks back Carr, Crabtree, Cooper stack would win somebody a lot of money this year because they all suck. Especially Carr. He has been garbage this year. Both these teams suck, really. I'm glad you mentioned Dez Bryant, James, because people are going to be slobbering over $6,500 because he finally caught a touchdown. But he caught a touchdown, 16 points. I mean, it's not even that good. I mean, I wouldn't even consider that value at that point, really. So $6,500 when you got 63, Landry at 61, Marquise Lee at 58, and then D.D. Westbrook at 51. You play chalky Dez Bryant. So I'm largely avoiding this game.
Well, if we're playing this for the primetime slate, which most people will be playing for, I Alf Morris at 57 is definitely in place. And I like Marshawn Lynch on the other side at $5,100. He's actually been running much better. It's almost like they thought, hey, we're going to make the playoffs. Let's rest him. But now they're using him, so I don't mind that. As of today, most beat reporters are saying Cooper's going to be out with his ankle injury. He re-aggravated it. So Crabtree at 68, I don't mind. And Cordell Patterson at 37. He's been doing very well when one or both of them have been out, so I don't mind that at all. Dez at 65, I agree with what you're saying, but if you're playing the short slate, he's in play because Oakland can't stop a tight end to save their life. He did his thing against the Giants like I expected him to do. I don't mind him again this week at 42. And Dak would be one of the two quarterbacks in this game if he had to, but I actually prefer stacking the Monday night game. Monday night, Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's +6, totals 48. Bucks, kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a good game. I think both these teams are underachievers this year, and I think it sets up well to kind of be a shootout. I think both options at quarterback are definitely in play. Has a lot of talent on that team, but they just haven't really material. I mean, Deshaun Jackson has outperformed Evans on the year, and Evans is a stud. I just don't see to Evans this year, but he has not looked good. But with that being said, he still has talent. Like Winston, Evans, Deshaun, the other guys on that team, they can still move the ball, and especially against this Atlanta defense. So I really like Matt Ryan this game. He is another one that's been overwhelming. Now, I'll say I like his upside this game. I am not playing him because of his price tag this game. I think there's a ton of better options on the board, like Bortles.
Get out. Out.
But I do like Matt Ryan this game, Jones this game, and it's hard. And I mean, he's going to be $8,500. I think he's going to be chalky, but he's going to get in the end zone. He's going to get in the end zone this game. Period. Back, I like Freeman. He's been turning it on a little bit more. And then Brate. Brate at $3,400 is value. So, a couple plays this game. This game can go a lot of different ways. For watching this one.
Hey, for that super flex, is that the main slate only, or does that include the weekend or the prime time?
It looks like it is Saturday through Monday.
Okay, this is a game that intrigues me because everyone's going to focus on Sunday's action. This game intrigues me a lot. I like Winston at 59 with Evans and D-Jax and Brate. I like all three of those pieces there. Don't mind it at all. On the other side of the ball, Devontae Freeman's been playing really well since he's come back from his concussion at 62. Julio 85, Sanu at 6, and Hooper at 32. I like all the weapons in this game, except I won't touch Matt Ryan. I want nothing to do with Matt Ryan. I won't go that direction. But I like a lot of pieces in this game. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. Should have some good fantasy value. But, yeah, I'm pretty pumped for this one, actually. What are your thoughts on this one, James?
Yeah, like Buck said, both of these teams have been underperforming for the most part of the year. I called the Matt Ryan reduction or regression at the beginning of the year. I said that I didn't think this offense would be good, and it hasn't been. As a whole, it has not been very good. Matt Ryan has not been good coming off of his MVP season. It happens. It's a book that we've read before. Winston has had a lot of issues in this third year, and we kind of see quarterbacks have these rough couple years, and Winston is somebody who is not very smart, and I think that's what his biggest issue is. He was never like a valedictorian. He was never a super smart quarterback like Russell Wilson. He runs off of emotion more than he runs off smarts. So he can turn it around in his fourth or fifth year, but this year has just been really, really hard for him, and I don't think that it gets any better. It started out bad with them at the beginning of the year. Not having a bye week really sucks. Like, this team's got to be tired moving all the way through. So I don't know. I don't really like this game that much for stacking purposes. I understand that it is a good opportunity with two explosive offenses with explosive players. I will say that Julio Jones is probably going to be like 0% owned this week. With all the other, he's going to be super low owned. Like, no, everybody's going to pay for Antonio Brown. Everybody's going to pay for Lev Bell. Everybody's going to pay for Alvin Kamara. Like, he'll maybe be like 5% owned. So, with that being said, it's tough. Like, you should play him. You should play Julio Jones on the super flex slot FanDuel. You should absolutely play him as a hammer because he can go 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against his team. Yeah. So he's the only play that I want out of this. I don't want to stack it, but I know that Julio Jones will be low owned, and I want him when he is low owned.
Yep, I don't hate on that at all. All right, that kicks us through all 16 games of action. Before we go through our positional game we play, let's do bold calls. My bold call of the week. I wrote this down before I knew how much you liked him too, James, but I got D.D. Westbrook will have his first 100-yard game of the year and will score 20-plus DraftKings points.
I like it.
Yep, like it. Like it.
Who's next? Bucks.
My bold call is that Blake Bortles is a top 3 QB this week.
You suck.
Yes.
Y'all both suck.
Hell yes.
Oh, look at that. 2 bold calls with the Jags.
Who would have thought that in week 1 this would be happening?
Nobody.
We didn't think Bortles would still be the quarterback right now.
I mean, if Fournette doesn't play, Bortles might get murdered.
Yes. What about you, James? What's your bold call?
My bold call is that Pittsburgh scores less than 14 points against New England.
Oh, I like that a lot, actually.
I think it's very feasible, and if you like it that.
If you think about from a real life perspective too, they came out of 2 really, really physical games. Roethlisberger's thrown the ball like 200 times in the last 3 games. They've got to be exhausted, and I don't think they can keep up with the Patriots.
If he has to throw it 40 more times, he's going to throw multiple picks.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he was contemplating retirement before this year. Like, he's got to hate this.
He's not going to have an arm.
If you like it, Patriots D's 2,500. No one's going to own them. Before the blow up against Miami, it was 13 points at Buffalo, 17 at home against Miami, 9 at Oakland, 13 at Denver, 9 against the Chargers, 7 at
They score,
11. Man. Yeah, it's not a bad call at 2,500.
They force teams to do stupid shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, Belichick. Well, here's my question for you: Belichick always likes to take away the best weapon. Does he take away Brown or Bell?
Brown, by a long shot.
That's what I'm thinking because he can control that more. That's what I was thinking.
That's Bell's a deeper threat, man.
Yeah. Okay. So that's another angle if people are playing guys from that game. Think of that one. All right, let's do our positional thing, which actually I've heard from a few people. They're actually enjoying this part of it. Quarterback questions. You go to the top of the list here. The top 3 guys, Brady, Wilson, or Rivers. Who you got?
I have to take Brady in this spot, man. I love Wilson. Really, really love Wilson. But Brady in a must-win game.
James?
Yeah. It's really close between Wilson and Brady for me. It's really close, but I really do like Brady to run up the score here.
I'm taking Wilson at home.
Wait, no. I take that back. I take Wilson because the Patriots might score 4 rushing touchdowns, but the Seahawks won't. Like, it's all Russell Wilson, so I have to say Russell Wilson on that one.
If they score rushing touchdowns, it's with his legs.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. In the $6K range, $6,400 Cam Newton or $6,300 Jimmy G?
Cam Newton, 100%.
James?
Yeah, it's Cam.
No, I wanted to ask this because I love Cam as well, but everywhere you look right now, it's Jimmy, so cheap, Jimmy. I want to remind people that Cam's $100 more and in a better spot, in my opinion.
He's got a 5-point head start with his legs.
Yep, I agree. All right. Aaron Rodgers is back. What are you projecting to do this week?
260 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks.
James?
I'll take the over on 260 yards. I think probably 320, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Going big.
I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, wowzers. And last one, your favorite sub $4,900 QB. There's a handful of them.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about this. Trubisky.
Are you gonna
100%.
start? There you go.
Trubisky.
James.
Holy
shit!
I'll probably say Gabbert because I'll say Gabbert.
Okay, I just saw a name I didn't realize was down here, and I know you're going to laugh at me, but just hear me out for a second.
Shut up. No, I know where you're going. Don't even say it.
Don't do it.
I'm not going to play him, but I just want to know how the mighty have fallen. The Ginger Andy Dalton is $4,700.
Yeah, he's terrible.
I'm just saying, before last week's bad game, he was getting 19 points a week.
He's playing Minnesota, though.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying that's insane how that price dropped.
Oh, yeah,
I wasn't going to say Jay Cutler like you thought I was.
I thought you were going like Eli.
I thought you were going to say Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Oh hell no! I don't play Sling Blade. Okay, who's got the running backs?
I got him.
Not I.
All right. Who do you prefer for? Well, I mean, we pretty much already answered this, but Alvin Kamara or Mark Ingram?
Ingram.
I would go Kamara.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
I love both of them, but I don't know, man. I think that Jets are pretty good against the run, and I think they're going to have to dump it off to Kamara.
Okay, that's a fair stance. That's fair. Definitely fair. Rex Burkhead or Devontae Freeman?
Oh, man.
I'll go Burkhead.
I have to go Freeman because I have him in my I can't jinx him.
Yeah, I'm going to go Burkhead, but I like them both. I really do. But Burkhead, just for that Patriots factor.
Yeah, I lean Burkhead just because of Patriots' destruction. Alex Collins or Theo Riddick with Amir Abdullah out?
No, Theo Riddick.
I guess you got to go Riddick. I like Collins a lot. I really, really do. I'm going to go Collins. I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to go Collins.
I think Collins as well. I like Collins more than I like Riddick. God, Bucks is just off of us today.
Are we writing these down?
maybe some listener can write them down for us and let us know.
I wish this was recorded somehow.
Yeah, if we could ever listen back to this, we could find this note. Maybe it's on iTunes or SoundCloud or Spreaker. I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah. I'll check it out on iTunes.
Or YouTube.
One more question for you guys, and it's kind of one I came up with while we were talking. But Jonathan Stewart or Bilal Powell?
Love that call.
Stewart. Love Stewart, man.
It's closer than you think, bro. Yeah, give me Stewart. But I'm not going to be shocked if Forte or Powell, one of those two, has a big game.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Stewart's just so touchdown dependent, where the others, Powell at least I guess Stewart's getting a workload now too. Okay, Stewart.
It's tough. Like, that one's kind of hard. I don't know which way I lean. Legitimate question to you guys. So that's really all the running back ones that I have. Like, I guess I can ask you guys if Le'Veon Bell is going to make value.
I would say no.
I'm not getting in the front of that train. Yes.
Well, what are you saying as value though? 3x?
20. I mean 20. If he's 9,300,
20 points, he's going to get 20 points.
Well, you say
get 20.
Like, if I think that they're only going to score 14 points, I have to say no.
Well, yeah. In that case, yes, absolutely. But I think he gets 20 points because I think he's going to catch 9 balls.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's all I got for running backs.
Okay. All right. Wide receivers.
Yep.
So, just looking at the DK rankings, which are off, by the way, but let's just go by that. Your top 3 choices are playing the 30th, 31st, and 32nd ranked D. Of the top 3, Antonio, Julio, and Keenan Allen, who do you choose?
Keenan Allen.
I'm Julio, based on ownership.
Okay, so I'm going to go Julio either way, but my next question was, who do you think is the lowest owned of those 3?
Oh,
Julio.
yeah. Julio by a lot. I mean, I don't even think he'll break 10 this week.
Then I think in a GPP, you're almost forced to go that direction of those 3.
I don't argue that at all. I completely agree. And I love how you mentioned that their rankings are off. Yeah, people pay attention to that. Those things are so wrong. Go check out DVOA somewhere on PFF or whatever website you can find it on. Those are wrong. Those are horrible.
Yeah. So this is one that I really, really like. This because I've been looking at this pairing, and it doesn't seem as close as it really is. But Michael Thomas at 7,400 or Fitzgerald at 69.
Give me Fitz.
Yeah, give me Fitz.
Nice. I like that. Okay. 3 guys in the 6K range: Josh Gordon, Jordy Nelson,
Landry. If you want to talk pure ownership. James?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear. I didn't hear him finish it. Yeah, Landry, definitely Landry.
Yeah, I like Landry a lot. I think 6,100 is criminal for that talent.
You go. Sorry, I'm gonna take your spot here. Do you go Landry or Goodwin?
Yeah. Oh man, I go Goodwin for upside for sure. Cash game, I'd go Landry.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted because we're so high on Goodwin too. So put them both in your lineup.
Yep.
Yeah, do it for sure. All right,
with
couple
Julio.
of guys. Miss D.D. Westbrook.
Oh, Didi's my boy. He's my bold call. He's my bold call.
I'm gonna have to side with Bubba here. I really, really like D.D. Westbrook this week.
Yep.
I like it. All right, so this is an area almost every single person every single week ventures down into, and they just have no clue. I'll give you guys a second to think about it, but a wide receiver that's serviceable under 4K.
Under 4K. I like Cordell Patterson at 3,700.
There's one guy down here that I really, really like. I'll name him in a second.
You like LaFell. You mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, he's my second option under 4K.
Yeah, I mean.
There's another guy.
I like Kendall Wright at 3,500. He's been consistently getting targets, even with Trubisky not throwing a lot. So now that Trubisky's throwing a consistent 32 to 35 targets, I think Kendall Wright is not a bad option with his upside.
Yeah.
And you got Inman at 31.
Yep, I like. So the guy that I would that I really like at the price is Travis Benjamin, just because I think that game goes crazy.
That's not bad.
But him and LaFell.
There's a couple good ones down here. The more you look at it, it could be interesting to dig into this a little more.
But that's all I got for receivers. Good stuff, man.
All right, tight end position. Top tight end between 4,700 and 5,600 because I know what you guys like up top. So Ingram, Doyle, Walker, Graham, Henry, or Rudolph.
Man, this is actually tough. I like Henry. I mean,
James.
This might be the sweetest range of any position
That's what,
like that.
that's why I wanted to ask that, because everyone either goes like Ertz and above, or they go like 3K.
Well, I think a lot of people will move to Delaney in that spot there.
Very possible.
I'm gonna say Jack Doyle because
Yeah.
the Denver cornerbacks don't give up any yardage. Like between the 20, it's gonna be all Doyle.
Yep.
That's how you beat Denver. So that's a very good point. But yeah, Doyle, you got Graham, Henry, all good choices right there. Even Rudolph's been playing great. Okay, Hooper. Don't laugh. Julius Thomas, who's actually played really well the last like 3 or 4 weeks, or Cameron Brate.
Just because I think that game has upside.
It's Cameron Brate for me.
Fair enough. Can't argue any of that. And last but not least, oh my God, I just saw this price too. Favorite tight end, 2,900 and below.
Well, it's hard to ignore Safarian Jenkins.
That's what I just saw. I was like, where the hell did I miss that one earlier? Good God.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Safarian Jenkins.
I guess I just wrote off all the Jets.
About that whole big body target for Foles, it's going to be the same thing in this game. You're going to want to funnel it there because it's easy target.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's either ASJ or it's Adam Shaheen if he's not questioned. Mm-hmm. But it's probably SJ.
Yeah, I like Shaheen, Njoku, and ASJ. That's all I got for tight end.
Cool.
James?
All right, so for defenses, are you willing to pay for the Jags defense this week?
Yes.
Absolutely. Jags will be on like 80% of my lineups.
I feel you. Okay, who is your favorite defense below 3K?
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of them that I liked here. My favorite is going to be the Panthers at 29.
If Peterman starts, give me the Dolphins all day at 27. If not, yeah.
Go ahead.
What's up?
I really like that Patriots call, by the way, James. So
yeah, Patriots at 25.
There, yeah.
Yeah, that's the other one I was looking at there.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably for me, realistically, I'd rather have the Panthers or the Cardinals because I think Kirk Cousins is pretty much checked out. But yeah. I do like the Patriots 2,500.
That Cardinals is nice too.
And then regardless of price, other than the Jaguars, who is your favorite defense this week?
I'm leaning heavy on the Vikings at 35.
Eagles.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And the Ravens at 38. There's a lot of good ones in that little range right there.
There is, yeah.
Love the Eagles this week.
I'm going to lean Vikings because Andy Dalton's the woke. But yeah, all good.
Well, you have to look at we make fun of the DK lineup the way they build their pricing algorithm, but there's also a little something to it once in a while when the price drops on a quarterback like that and the defense stays high. There, at least in baseball, James, you know what I'm talking about. When a pitcher goes one way and the bats go another, there's a correlation there. So maybe it'll correlate there. Who knows?
Yep.
But all right, gentlemen, week 15 in the books. You can find Bucks on Twitter, BP Snow 11. James at Patered_DFS. I am at BDintric. Good stuff this week. Don't forget you have Saturday action to mess with you a little bit if you're into that kind of thing. But until then, we'll catch you guys next week. 2-Point Conversion, NFL DFS podcast in the books.